It's time for Dodger Baseball. Live from Dodger Stadium, Prime Ticket presents the Dodgers as they take on the San Diego Padres. Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant Saturday evening to you, wherever you may be. Game 2 of the 3-game series. The Dodgers beating San Diego last night, so the teams have split 14. However, San Diego still has an edge on the Dodgers. They've won 4 of the 7 here at Dodger Stadium. The pitching tonight, it'll be big Andrew Kashner on the mound for the Padres. He has a record of 8-8. He is 5-3 at home and 3-5 on the road. He is 0-1 against the Dodgers. On the mound for the Dodgers, left-hander Chris Capuano with a record of 4-7, but it's important to note the Dodgers have won 7 of his last 8 starts. Remember way back when the Dodgers were 9-23 inside the Western Division, and people said there's no way they can win the way they're playing against the West? Well, they're digging out from under. They are now 15-4 against the West, and remember, outside of 3 games in Cincinnati, they'll be in the West till the rest of the season. Those are the numbers. Pull up a chair, enjoy the ball game, and a whole lot more coming up right after this. Burger topped with farm fresh veggies. Get an award-winning Farmer's Burger topped with farm-fresh veggies, cheese, bacon, and avocado. By Chase, send money to almost anyone, anywhere with your smartphone. Chase Quick Pay, so you can. And by El Pollo Loco, crazy you can taste.
Dodgers won again last night, their 79th victory. They now lead the National League West by 10.5. The Dodgers are 24 games over 500. It is their high water mark of the season. Jim Watson and Steve Lyons in center field. It's already been a remarkable year, and really because of some surprising seasons. We knew about Yasiel Puig, but we thought when the music stopped, Andre Ethier might be without a chair. But now he's playing great.
You know, and he's playing center field too. And if you look at the numbers right now, he's played in center field this year more than he's played anywhere else. And has anybody noticed a difference? I certainly haven't. I can't think of one play out there in center field where the ball should have been caught and it wasn't. Last night, he nails a guy at home. Perfect throw to the plate. He has been seamless out there. And in his last 70 games, he's hitting almost .310. So this guy's picked up his game in every area.
Yeah, and he's a doubles machine. He's on pace for another year with 30 doubles. Dodgers have a month to go in the season. They're getting great pitching, solid defense, and now the Dodger offense is starting to get its swing on.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Big Three Thing.
Welcome to Dodger Stadium on a hot, steamy night here in the ballpark as the Dodgers and the Padres prepare to play Game 2 of the 3-game series and the 15th meeting of the year. As we always see, a precious moment before the games begin when youngsters go to a various position to meet that particular player, get an autographed ball, and then run like the wind back to the dugout. And they're peanut-sized, some of them. And your first thought, if you were home, you'd say, don't run with a pen. But they're safe and sound, and we're about ready to take a look at the Dodgers and the Padres. Bud Black, a fine pitcher in his own right, the manager. This will be his lineup card for the Padres. Chris Denorfia opens up in right field. Will Venable, who has hit safely in 24 out of 25, is in center. Jed Jerko, the rookie, is at second base. Jesus Guzman is at first. In left field, recently reinstated, Kyle Blanks. At third base, Logan Forsythe. The shortstop is Ronnie Cedeno. The catcher, Rene Rivera, and the pitcher, Andrew Kashner. On the mound for the Dodgers, the veteran left-hander, Chris Capuano, with a record of 4-7. However, it's better to point out that in his last 8 starts, the Dodgers have won 7 of the 8. He's 2-5 here at Dodger Stadium. He's a break-even 2-2 on the road. He is 0-1 against San Diego this year, and lifetime he is 5-5. So the Dodgers with a little 2-game winning streak going after the 15th game with the Padres, and the Dodgers finishing up the most successful month for a Dodger team since they came to Los Angeles. That means going back to 1958. The Dodgers have won 22 games in the month of August. They'd like to tie a ribbon on the package and make it 23 tonight, because after tonight we have run out of August. Tomorrow, believe it or not, will be September 1. The most successful month would have to be belonging to 2 Dodger teams in Brooklyn, the 1947 team, the 1953 team. They each had a month where they won 25. The best the Dodgers can do is win tonight and settle with 23. So it's the Dodgers and the Padres. Here come the Friars, and that would be Chris Denorfia, then Will Venable, and Jed Jerko. Chris Capuano, ready to go to work. Chris Denorfia, right-hand batter, all of his home runs, 9 of them against left-hand pitching, and Denorfia looks at a pitch for a strike, and the count 0-1. Denorfia, good outfielder, playing right, hitting .276, 39 runs batted in. Capuano looks over the fingertips of his glove and comes back 0-1. Works it on the inside corner, and the count 0-2. The temperature at game time is exactly 85 degrees, so we've had a cool wave because last night it was 89. The humidity, however, is something to talk about. 0-2 the count. Capuano comes back high, 1-2. You look out and you get a tremendous view of the mountains now, sketched against the sky, puffy white clouds running across the top of them. The 1-2 pitch in the dirt, nice block by Fedorovich, and the count 2 balls and 2 strikes. There they are in all their beauty and majesty, a perfect frame to center field in the background of this gorgeous stadium. And I assume where those clouds are, there might very well be some thunderstorms up there. 2 balls and 2 strikes the count. Capuano ready, and the pitch to Denorfia is swung on, ground ball to third. Uribe is on it, winds up and throws a strike to Adrian Gonzalez. 1 away. Let's take a look at the Dodgers with the leather. No dramatic changes. That means Gonzalez, Schumacher at second for Mark Ellis, and then Ramirez and Uribe, Crawford, Ethier, and Puig in the outfield. Fedorovich giving A.J. Ellis a rest, handling Chris Capuano. So 1 down, and here is Will Venable, who has a 9-game hitting streak and has hit safely in 24 of the last 25 games. So Will has really found himself in the month of August. Looks at a breaking ball for a strike. The plate umpire, the senior umpire of the quartet, that would be Jerry Lane. He's in his 25th year. Big man out of Kentucky, now lives in Florida. The pitch to Venable is low, 1 ball and 1 strike. Mr. Lane, during the offseason, works with disabled American veterans. One of his proud moments to work with them. Here's the 1-1 pitch on the way. Venable fouls it back. 1-2 the count. The Pittsburgh Pirates, you may remember, just recently made a couple of deals. They got Marlon Byrd and the catcher John Buck, because the one thing they didn't have, the Pirates did not have men who could pick up RBIs. Well, Buck and Byrd can certainly do that. The 1-2 pitch, bad curveball in the dirt, and it was chased and missed by Venable to strike out. The Capuano really fools the center fielder. 2 down, and Jed Jerko coming up. Well, talking about the Pirates, they have made another deal. They added first baseman Justin Moreau coming over from Minnesota. Justin has 74 RBIs. So all of a sudden now, they've got some RBI hitters, and Pittsburgh having a marvelous year. As of the moment, they are tied with the St. Louis Cardinals, and they need a little sock, and they certainly have it. The pitch is high, ball 1. So Buck had 60 RBIs, Bird had 71, Moreau 74. Moreau probably replacing Garrett Jones, who hit 119 in August. The next pitch to Jerko, fastball swung on and missed. Jones, once a first base prospect in Minnesota, and he was blocked because Moreau was the Twins' star first baseman. And Morneau now takes over for Garrett Jones again. 1 ball and 1 strike to count, and the pitch swung on and missed by Jerko. Talking about the Pirates and their need for sock, they're in the 6th inning. The Pirates 7 and the Cardinals 1, and the sock has arrived. Here's the 1-2 pitch on the way. It is taken a little high. 2-2 the count. 2 down, first inning, no score. Chris Capuano going up against Andrew Kashner. Tomorrow the final game, Tyler Ross and Zach Greinke. The 2-2 pitch on the way. Capuano works it low and inside, ball 3. 3-2 the count to Jed Jerko. Capuano has been, and it's been said often, he's been a little bit like the little girl with the curl. When he's good, he's very, very good. And then, of course, he has the games where he gives up 5 runs. He's had a remarkable string of zeros mixed in with 5s. 3-2 pitch coming up to Jed Jerko, swung on and fouled away. Another large crowd here. I assume it'll be very close. They haven't announced a sellout, but you have to look at the stands. The good folks are here. Last night, 51,769, the 20th sellout this year, and this looks like 21. 3-2 pitch is swung on, fouled away. Long drive down the left field line. Well hit but foul. Jerko, number 1 rookie to make the Padre lineup. He's got sock. 16 home runs, 43 runs batted in. Capuano comes back, off speed, hit in the air to right center. Ethier on his horse at the wall. It's off the wall. Backed up by Puig. Jerko into second base. Puig started to throw, dropped the ball, but then got it back in. Jerko was going to be at second base anyway. So it's a long double for Jed Jerko in the gap in right center. And with 2 out, the batter will be Jesus Guzman. Ethier trying to gauge the ball and the wall, and the ball finally bound at the very bottom of the wall. Didn't make any difference that Puig dropped it while in the act of throwing because Jerko was at second base. The ball just slipping out like a piece of wet soap. So Jerko with a double, and Jesus Guzman trying to pick him up. Guzman last night singled, scored a run, and went 1 for 4. Capuano ready and deals, and the first one outside, ball 1, 1-0. Jesus Guzman hitting .242, 8 home runs, 30 runs batted in. Padres, remember, scored first last night in the 2nd inning, and then the Dodgers eventually blew them out 9-2. 1-0 pitch on the way. Guzman swings, lifts it to the right side. Gonzalez going along behind him. Schumacher. Puig coming in. It goes between them, and it's an out. I believe caught by Schumacher. And boy, that took a lot of concentration because Puig was almost inside his shirt. So the pop fly to the second baseman. No runs, a hit, a man left. And at the end of half an inning, Padres nothing, Dodgers coming up. 19 pitches to end the inning. Now let's take a look at the Dodger lineup. It goes this way. Carl Crawford in left field, Yasiel Puig in right, Adrian Gonzalez at first, and Hanley Ramirez at short. Andre Ethier in center field, Juan Uribe at third, Skip Schumacher at second base, Tim Fedorovich behind the plate, and Chris Capuano on the mound. On the mound for San Diego, big man, Andrew Kashner, 6'6", 205-pounder out of Conroe, Texas. He was a first-round pick by the Cubs out of Texas Christian University. A couple of quick baseball notes on Kashner. He has lost 3 times in the month of August. He is basically a ground ball pitcher. He pitches well lately. In the last 33 innings, his earned run average is 2.4, but he's lost 4 of those games. Padres unable to get him any runs. He's allowed only 3 home runs in the last 3 months. And the pitch to Carl in for a strike, 0-1. So Carl Crawford trying to lead the Dodgers here in the first inning, hitting .282, 5 home runs, 25 runs batted in. Kashner ready, comes back with a fastball a little low, ball 2. Kashner can throw hard. He can also change up that fastball and make it a good 11 or 12 miles difference. Kashner nods no a couple of times to his catcher, Rene Rivera. The next pitch is swung on and fouled away, and the count 1-2. As far as Kashner is concerned, you can run on the big man like a hook and ladder. When he starts his delivery, there's a lot of movement before he actually is fully extended to release the ball to the plate. Last year, the base runners stole 12 out of 14. This year so far, 16 out of 20. And the pitch to Crawford high and away, ball 2, 2-2. So Andrew looks in to get a sign. He'll be 27 in September. And the pitch to Crawford finds the outside corner, and down he goes. So 1 out. We'll take a look at the Padres defensively, and they spread out this way. Guzman and Jerko, Cedeno and Forsythe, with Kyle Blanks, Will Venable, and Chris Denorfia. Rene Rivera behind the plate, and Kashner on the mound. Yasiel Puig coming up. He had 4 straight hits last night, scored once, wound up going 4 for 5, has his batting average up to .354 with 13 home runs, 31 runs batted in. Kashner ready, delivers, drives it inside with a fastball at 97. That's his way of saying hello. 1-0 the count. Kashner off to a late start for the season. He had a hunting accident. The 1-0 pitch on the way, inside again, ball 2. Kashner suffered a lacerated tendon of the right thumb. He was dressing a deer. Now the 2-0 pitch, Puig shows bunt, takes off the plate, 3-0 the count. So Kashner's already sent a message he'd like to keep the ball in. On deck, Adrian Gonzalez. Big right-hander over the top, fastball high and inside, ball 4. So the Dodgers get a base runner in Puig. As far as Yasiel Puig is concerned, he had a stolen base last night. Wound up, his record is stolen 10 out of 16. Actually, he had 2 stolen bases last night. By the way, we get news now that tonight is a sellout. There are limited tickets available for tomorrow's game. Remember, that's at 1:10. And we figure that enough folks will be here for the last game of this current homestand. Remember, the Dodgers leave and go to Colorado and Cincinnati before coming back to play Arizona and San Francisco. So if you have a chance, hope you'll drop on by tomorrow. Zach Greinke will be on the mound. Puig is at first, 1 out. Remember, we told you the league has run on Kashner. Andrew's pitch is down and away to Adrian, ball 1. Gonzalez had a big night last night. Every time Ramirez doubled ahead of him, he came back with a home run. So he has 19, 85 RBIs, hitting .293. Cashner set a look over at Puig and a throw over there. Yasiel just getting back. When you look at the way Cashner pitches, the batting average against him, first 15 pitches in the 280s, the next 15 pitches 260, and then all the way down until he gets late in the game, and then he really gets tough. The pitch is in for a strike, and the count 1-1. From 61 to 75, the opposition is hitting 198. From 76 pitches to 90, they're hitting 192. And from 91 to 105, they're struggling and hitting 200 against them. The 1-1 pitch on the way is instead another throw to first. The Padres, of course, had their first look at Puig, and he stole 2 bases last night. So you can bet Cashner, who's already been burned so much, 16 out of 20 have successfully stolen a base against him. Cashner straightens up. Up is pretty up. He's 6'6". Throw to first again, and Puig jumps back on the bag. 1 out, first inning, no score. The Padres are 19 games behind the Dodgers in the standings, and yet they play them tough. They've split 14. There goes Puig. The pitch is low. The throw down. He is out at second base. So Yasiel Puig had Cashner keeping him close to the bag. Rene Rivera makes a fine throw on the money. And just like that, Puig is cut down. 2-6. Ronnie Cedeno handling the throw, and it was there in plenty of time. So 2 out. 2-1 to Gonzalez with Hanley Ramirez on deck. Cashner, from just about the middle of the rubber, comes back with a pitch a little low, and he's run the count to 3-1. He's only made 13 pitches here in the first inning, and he has 2 out. The next one swung on, fouled away. So 3-2 the count. Adrian Gonzalez swinging the big bat for the Dodgers, and if he isn't, it's Hanley Ramirez hitting back of him. Adrian gets back in. Must be particularly tough to face Cashner at this time of day. Fastball is outside, ball 4. So for Cashner and the Padres, good thing they nail Puig. Otherwise, the Dodgers would have 2 on and 1 out. Instead, they have 2 out and 1 on. And Hanley Ramirez coming up. Hanley Ramirez hitting .346, 15 home runs, 46 runs batted in. As far as Cashner is concerned, Ramirez is 0 for 4 against him. Gonzalez had been 2 for 7. So Cashner out of a stretch, looks over at first, comes to Ramirez, first ball swinging, and fouls it away, 0-1. Andrew Cashner has had to have a lot of patience of late. If you go back to 2005, he was selected in the 20th round by Atlanta, but he didn't sign. The next year, Colorado drafted him in the 18th round. No way, didn't sign. In 07, selected by the Cubs, 29th round, did not sign. The pitch to Hanley is swung on, a long foul, 0-2. And all of that patience paid off, because in 2008, he was selected again by the Cubs in the first round, and you get first round money, you're getting a lot of money. So he's come a long way from the 29th round to the first. And then he was acquired by San Diego in a deal with the Cubs for first baseman Anthony Rizzo, who's playing with the Cubs right now. Meanwhile, ground ball from Ramirez. Cedeno kind of winds up to throw him out. And the Dodgers, in the first inning, no runs, no hits, 1 left. And at the end of an inning, no score. You know, friends, bring your group to Dodger Stadium. Group tickets start as low as $7. For more information, visit Dodgers.com/groups or call a group ticket representative at 323-224-1421. Chris Capuano made 19 pitches in the first inning. Andrew Kachner makes 18 pitches in his, and merrily we move along. Kyle Blanks, followed by Logan Forsythe, and then Ronnie Cedeno. Kyle Blanks, just returning. At one time in his young career, Kyle had Tommy John surgery. In fact, as big as he is, he certainly had some physical problems. Kyle takes the pitch, and it's low, ball one. He had plantar fasciitis of the foot, Tommy John surgery. He had a labrum tear in his shoulder. One thing he's done is change his diet to see if that wouldn't help. The 1-0 pitch swung on, fouled away, and the count 1-1. Kyle Blanks, 6'6", 285 pounds, though he is a big man. Out of Sellersville, Pennsylvania, lives over in Moriarty, New Mexico. The pitch to Kyle, that's in there for a strike, 1-2. At 6'6", he gives you that nice strike zone. When he was in high school, as big as he is, he only hit 5 home runs in his senior year. 1-2 to Kyle. Capuano turns, ready, veteran left hand to back, and there's a ground ball to the hole, heading into right field for a base hit. So Kyle Blanks goes the other way, singles to right. That would be the second hit given up by Capuano. And the batter will be the third baseman, Logan Forsythe. Forsythe last night doubled to drive in a run, reached on an error and struck out. Then gave way in the latter innings. So Forsythe hitting .226, 5 home runs, 16 runs batted in. Blanks at first, a very, very short lead. He is 1-1 in stolen bases. Capuano goes over there. When you see a fella with such a short lead, it's a good idea to go over there, because if he is a timid base runner, you might even take a little step away from it, even if it's a so-called baby step. So a runner at first. Forsythe, Cedeno, and Rivera coming up. Capuano ready and delivers. Forsythe pulls it foul on the ground, and the count 0-1. I want to give you an insight, especially if you're married and you have a family. I want to give you an insight of how it can be if you're a major league ball player. I'm not talking about a superstar, somebody who stands like a Stan Musial, who spends his entire career with one team. I'm talking about a very ordinary but good enough big league infielder. The pitch of the plate, foul back 0-2. To fulfill that gap, let's take John McDonald. He's 39 years old, played in his 1,000th game. And John McDonald, who's married with children, since March, spring training, he's been traded 5 times. Now just imagine. Here's the strike 2 pitch on the way, and that's taken low. In fact, no, a delayed call, strike 3 by Jerry Lane. So Forsythe stood there. You could count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 before Lane punched him out. Curveball that came in nicely. Forsythe held his ground, and then all of a sudden, bingo, he's gone. All right, let's get back to McDonald for the moment. John McDonald in March was traded from Arizona to Pittsburgh. So you move the family, you rent a house or an apartment or whatever, and he settles in Pittsburgh to play for the Pirates. Here's Cedeno, who played for the Pirates, and he takes a strike. While he's in Pittsburgh, just about settling in to spend the summer there, no, he's traded to Cleveland. Well, admittedly, that's not far away, Pittsburgh to Cleveland, but it means you get out from under the rental house, you pack up the kids, and you move on to Cleveland and say, well, okay, that's enough. Throw to first, not in time. No sooner do you feel like you're an Indian, that you've settled in Cleveland, you get word you've been traded to Philadelphia. So you get out from under the rental, you pack the wife and the kids, and you move on to Philadelphia. All the while, you're playing baseball at night, at day, etc. Pitch of the plate hit the dead center in front of Ethier for a base hit. Stopping at second is Blanks. So runners at first and second, one out, and the catcher Rene Rivera coming up. And so now here you are in Philadelphia, and it's August 31st, and you've already moved 4 times. And today you get the news, John, we're sending you to Boston. And so for the 5th time since March, John McDonald gets out from under the rental, packs up the wife and the kids, and moves again. Life in the big leagues. Rivera, right-hand hitting catcher. Capuano delivers it, hits his foot in the air, picked up by Ramirez, who throws to first for the out. Capuano will get an assist the hard way, but in all honesty, I think if Capuano had not stuck his foot in the way of the ball, it might have been a double play ball for Ramirez. So that was quite a play, and it'll go 1-6-3. Curveball hit off his foot, high in the air. Ramirez charging, picks it, bare hand throws, and gets Rivera. So Capuano obviously okay, and in a moment, Andrew Kashner will be coming up. So 2 out on a 1-6-3. Runners move up 90 feet. So Blanks standing at third, Cedeno at second. Andrew Kashner, who is a very good hitter. Kashner, by the way, hitting .268. He has a home run, 3 runs batted in. Up there now to really help his cause with runners at second and third, 2 out, no score, second inning. Capuano, a high set up around the chest, comes to the plate, and it's foul back, and the count 0-1. No balls and 1 strike, the count to Andrew Kashner. 2 down, top of the second inning. Padres have runners at second and third, Blanks at third, Cedeno at second. Strike 1 pitch on the way. Capuano breaks one off, and it's in there for a strike, and the count now 0-2. Capuano so far this year came into the game 22 walks, 69 strikeouts, so the ratio 3-1, and he has 2 strikeouts so far tonight. 0-2. He delivers as a ground ball, broken bat ground ball to Ramirez, who gets it to first just in time. Kashner was flying down the line. No runs, 2 hits, 2 left, and at the end of an inning and a half, no score. Dodgers are concerned facing Bud Black. They can understand the frustration because so far in the series, the Padres are 2 for 15 with runners in scoring position, which reminds you of the song the Dodgers were singing all through April and May, the inability to come up with a key hit with runners in scoring position. But that has changed considerably, and we'll show you the turnaround in a minute or two after we get a disposition of the leadoff hitter, Andre Ethier. Andre Ethier, Juan Uribe, and Skip Schumacher. Ethier last night went 1 for 4, a single to center. Cashner ready, delivers. Andre swings right through the first fastball at 94, and the count 0-1. Andre hitting .274, 10 home runs, 47 runs batted in, has played 130 counting tonight. The strike one pitch is in there, strike two. So Andrew Cashner, 8-8. He was 0-1 against the Dodgers last year and hasn't seen them this year. Ethier waiting, Cashner into the windup. Fastball is rolled up the middle, base hit. So an 0-2 fastball, 96 miles an hour, and Ethier single. Again, a dreaded base hit with the count 0-2. Boy, do we see that. Well, we talked about it. Here, in a nutshell, is what has been going on. Through June the 22nd, the Dodgers lost 2 out of 3 in that series with San Diego. They were 9.5 back. Now look where the Dodgers are. Look where San Francisco is, going from second to last, going from 3 back to 19 back. Talking about the Giants, they're losing. Diamondbacks have them down 3-0, top of the 6th inning. The batter now Juan Uribe, and a strike, 0-1. So Ethier standing at first, no score, 2nd inning. Game 2 of the 3-game series, game 15 between these two. For the Dodgers, a remarkable turnaround began by beating the San Diego Padres. That was the springboard that has gotten them where they are. The pitch to Uribe was low, and a 1-1 1-strike count. Uribe with 7 home runs has been very much of a solid defender at third base. 37 runs batted in. 1-1 pitch with Ethier gone is a broken ball. Little roller to short. Cedeno can't make the play. And the Dodgers have runners at first and second. Ethier broke on the hit and run play. And talking about breaking, Uribe's bat broke in lots of pieces. A little dribbler towards shortstop. The handle is all the way back near the screen. So that bat didn't break, it disintegrated. And Uribe will settle for a base hit. Ethier now safely at second, and the Dodgers are in business. Schumacher, Fedorovich, and Capuano trying to capitalize. So back-to-back singles. Ethier a solid single up the middle. Uribe a hit and run, broken bat, ground ball single. Schumacher hitting .272, left-hand batter. First ball swinging, hits a fly ball to left. Blanks goes back a little bit, makes the catch, and the runners hold. Well, we were talking about the Padres struggling with runners in scoring position. We'll see about the Dodgers now. They had 2 on for a brief moment, but remember Puig was thrown out stealing in the first inning. Now they have 2 on and 1 out. And the batter will be Tim Fedorovich. Fedorovich hitting .234. He has 3 home runs. 13 runs batted in. I remember being with Tim Fedorovich during the Fan Fest here at Dodger Stadium before the season began. And we were like in a little golf cart on the outside of the stadium and wound up in center field looking back towards the stadium itself. Fedorovich said, I have never played in a sellout game. Well, this is the 21st sellout of the year. He is now a veteran with the big crowds. 0-1 the count to Tim. Kashner set, a look at the runners, comes back to the plate, swung on and missed. That was a changeup, and he's got a dandy. When you saw the 96-mile-an-hour pitch to Ethier, and you're in the dugout figuring, well, I'll go up there and take the smoke. Actually, Kashner has had a fastball clocked as high as 100, but he also has the two-seamer. He has a slider. He has a knuckleball. He has a change. Fedorovich swings and misses. Down he goes. So Kashner can deal from a full deck, and he has a lot of different pitches. So 2 down, and Capuano coming up. So the Dodgers have had 4 base runners in the first 2 innings, and they're still looking for a run. Capuano, not much of a hitter. Kashner is a good hitter. Capuano has 1 precious hit in 22 at-bats. Kashner delivers fastball. That's low. 1 ball and no strikes. No score. Bottom of the 2nd inning. Capuano waiting. Kashner looks back at second. Now comes back. Another fastball fouled away off to the left. That was 97. Capuano has to congratulate himself for making contact. 97-mile-an-hour fastball before 7 o'clock. In other words, the lights don't really take effect. It's got to be tough, but they are big leaguers. They've played under every imaginable condition. The 1-1 pitch to Capuano swung on and missed. That was 98. So he can foul off a 97. Couldn't catch up to a 98. No score in the 2nd inning. Kashner plants the right foot, looks in to get a sign. Ethier at second, Uribe at first, 2 out. 1-2 pitch on the way, taken outside and high. Boy, he's not showing any mercy. All fastballs from 97 to 98 to 99. In talking to various scouts who come to Dodger Stadium, they say that the Dodger gun is pretty accurate. I think there are some guns, great show business, but they're not very accurate. But according to scouts I've talked to, the Dodger gun on the board, pretty accurate. 2-2 pitch on the way. Capuano swings and misses on another 99-mile-an-hour fastball. So he was just overmatched. No runs, 2 hits, 2 left, and at the end of 2, no score. Your family and friends to Dodger Stadium for baseball and a movie. After the game with the Padres at 1:10, the Dodgers will show The Sandlot on the new high-definition video screen. So for tickets and more information, visit Dodgers.com/The Sandlot. Third inning, no score in the ball game. The good folks are here. Sellout last night, sellout tonight. This will be number 21. They are colorfully attired, including the West Covina All-Stars. So we go to the third, no score. Chris Capuano getting ready to pitch. It'll be Chris DeNorfia, then Will Venable and Jed Jerko in that order. Each team has had a chance. Padres had a double by Jerko with 2 out, but they left him at second. Then they had second and third in the second inning and couldn't score. The Dodgers had Puig walk, get caught stealing, Gonzalez walk, and then Ramirez grounded out. And for good measure in the second inning, the Dodgers had back-to-back singles by Ethier and Uribe and failed to score. So it'll be the second time around for Chris DeNorfia, who grounded to third, 0 for 1. DeNorfia way out in front. I think he was looking fastball, and it was a breaking ball at 77. 0-1 the count. Chris, a Connecticut boy from the Nutmeg State. Capuano ready, back he comes, turned it over, but it stayed just outside. However, on a check swing, it's called a strike by Hunter Wendelstedt, umpiring on the right field foul line. So DeNorfia in a hole, no balls and 2 strikes. DeNorfia very tough against left-hand pitching, all of his 9 home runs. Swings, doesn't get it, and down he goes. So Capuano picks up his 3rd strikeout.
Center field,
1 out, and the batter Will Venable. Will Venable right up there in the top 3 as far as hits in the month of August. Victor Martinez of Detroit, 44 hits this month. Martin Prado with Arizona, 41, and Venable with San Diego, he has 40 hits. And the first pitch, curveball, and Will way out in front of it. 0-1 the count. The month of August, it was actually named after Augustus Caesar. In fact, he named it after himself. Here's the strike 1 pitch, swung on and missed. Why did he pick this particular month to have it named after himself? Well, from what we read, among other things, he conquered Egypt this month. The month of August. 0-2 the count. Capuano on the rubber into the windup and delivers, and it's foul back. Fastball at 91. Remember last time Venable chased a breaking ball and wound up in the right-hand hitter's box. Big curveball down and away. Venable last night had 1 hit. Strike 2 pitch on the way to Will. Swung on, comebacker, backhanded by Capuano, underhands to Gonzalez, and we have 2 down here in the 3rd inning. Nice play by Chris. And he'll now go to work on Jed Jerko, who doubled in the 1st inning. Jerko out of West Virginia. Morgantown to be exact. Talking about the month of August, he has 16 home runs and he has hit 8 this month. Jerko takes in the dirt, ball 1. For a Padres rookie, he is the first in Padre history. Most home runs hit in any single calendar month. 8 of them in August. 1 ball and no strikes. Capuano comes back high and away. 2-0 the count. Capuano slows down a minute, takes a breather. Now back up on top. Capuano will be 35. In fact, he just had his 35th birthday and wearing his age on his shirt. 2-0 pitch on the way. Fastball, a 1-hopper into left field. So Jerko has a double and a single. each base hit coming with 2 out, and that puts a little pressure on Jesus Guzman to try and pick him up. That would be hit number 4 for Capuano. No score, top of the 3rd. Guzman popped up with Jerko at second in the 1st inning. That was that pop fly, a dangerous pop fly. Schumacher caught it with Puig right alongside of him, and Gonzalez on the other side. Bouncer up the middle. Schumacher, quick feed to Ramirez ahead of Jerko, and that's that. So no runs, 1 hit, man left, and at the end of 2.5 innings, no score. Against Chris Capuano, Padres and Dodgers, and a sellout crowd. Just to add to the excitement, Capuano made 11 pitches to get the side out in the 3rd. So Chris now has made 43 pitches in 3 innings, which is a nice way to go, especially in this heat. 85 degrees when the game started. Dodgers now will have the top of the order. That means Crawford, followed by Puig, and then Gonzalez. Carl Crawford struck out in the 1st inning. 0 for 1. First pitch to Crawford is pulled on the ground, plugging it up on the right side to make the play is Jerko. So Crawford didn't hang around. 1 pitch and 1 away. Yasiel Puig coming up. And just to give you an idea of where he ranks as far as rookies are concerned, 1st in batting average, 354. 2nd in hits, 104. 3rd in home runs with 13. And 1st in on-base percentage, 412. So Puig piling up multi-hit games as well. And with 1 out, checks in, having walked in the 1st inning. Cashner delivers. Fastball in for a strike. Remember, Cashner pitched him inside, came close to hitting him first at bat. That fastball, a hello 96. Strike 1 fastball fouled away. 0-2 the count, and he drops from 96 to 83 with the change. So at 6'6", standing on a 10-inch mound, if you're the hitter, you got to expect. You've seen 96, 97, 99. You know you're going to get a fastball somewhere along the line. Fastball is swung on and missed. 98 mile an hour, blows Puig away, and we have 2 down. Last night, Adrian Gonzalez had a big night. 2 big home runs, each one coming on the heels of a double by Hanley Ramirez. he reached the stands in left center, and the next time he got a hold of it, it went the other way to right center field. 19 home runs for Adrian Gonzalez, who walked in the first inning. Cashner throwing hard, throws a changeup and gets it in, and that changeup was 78. 0-1 the count. Cashner works quickly. He comes right back, and it's probably banged into right field for a base hit. So again, he came up with back-to-back pitches. Good play by Denorfia to throw the ball to first, but with the play in front of him, Gonzalez hustled. Had he lollygagged down the line, Denorfia would have thrown him out. So he got that off-speed breaking ball and singles to right. I don't think I've ever seen a position player thrown out on a base hit to first base, but I have seen pitchers. Absolutely. So Denorfia, a thinking outfielder, makes the play. Puig will probably file that away and say, okay, one of these days I'll have the same shot. So with 2 down, here's Hanley Ramirez. Cashner delivers, fastball in for a strike, and the count 0-1. Hanley hitting .344, 15 home runs, 46 runs batted in. What a combination. The left hook and the right cross. Adrian Gonzalez and Hanley Ramirez. Strike 1 pitch on the way, low and away, blocked by Rivera, and a 1-ball, 1-strike count. Ramirez with a couple of doubles last night, so he's hit safely in 4 straight. Hanley, 5 of his 8 hits during this homestand have gone for extra bases. And when Hanley is involved, when he scores a run, the Dodgers are 32-4. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Check swing. They're going to look. And it's going to be called a strike. They looked down, but the plate umpire, Jerry Lane, said, I've been around long enough to call it. And they count 1-2. Another note about Ramirez. When he homers, the Dodgers have won in 14 straight games. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Cashner at the belt. Here he comes, driving the hitter off the plate, and the count 2-2. Well, you wonder, he throws so hard. How many home runs has he allowed? Cashner has allowed 11. He's 3-5 on the road, but in Petco Park, he is 5-3. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, no score. Bottom of the 3rd. Cashner back, fastball just off the plate. Boy, he's throwing hard. 98. He has hit 99 twice. You love how the scouts talk about the ball coming out of his hand. Andre Ethier, who hit a fastball for a base hit at about 98, on deck. 3-2. There goes Adrian. Ground ball to the hole. Cedeno throws and gets him, and that's the inning. No runs, 1 hit, and a man left. Nice play by Ronnie Cedeno. And at the end of 3, no score. Ball Club. And tomorrow is September 1. The usual September call-ups. Kids coming up to help a team the most in which way. So if you had yourself a farm system, how would you do it? Tweet hashtag, and they need either pitching depth, extra bat, pinch runner, or defensive help. We'd like to know your thinking on it. And we go to the 4th. It will be interesting to see the Dodger call-ups. Capuano ready to work on Kyle Blanks. Foul ball, 0-1 the count. Kyle, Moriarty, New Mexico. Tries to time it, pulls it too much. 0-2. A lot of people looked at Kyle Blanks, especially when he first came up, and they immediately started to think about, Dave Parker, Frank Thomas, or Dave Kingman. Big men like Kyle. Of course, those fellows hit a lot of home runs. Kyle's high as Dave Winfield looks on, and of course Dave, not only a Yankee but a big Padre man. Blanks in the big leagues, about 11 home runs I think would be his high. Looking back through the books, his high would be 10. So when you look at him you think, oh boy, here's a guy who's going to hit 30 home runs. Wow, what a strange cloud formation in deep right center, coming straight up from behind the mountains. Yeah, from that angle, the roof cuts it down. Boy, it's like a cloud on top of a cloud. With the humidity, there's all kinds of cloud formations, and I'm sure, as you know, they've had torrential rains in Riverside and Las Vegas, Palm Springs. Off speed, and down goes Blanks. One away. Yeah, that big disc kind of blocks it a little bit. But it's a little scary looking considering the fact there are no other clouds around it. So one away in the 4th inning, no score. Here's Logan Forsythe, struck out in the 2nd inning. And ball 1. An exchange of baseballs. Jerry Lane ready to put another one back in play. 1 ball and no strikes. 2-0. Logan Forsythe from Memphis, Tennessee. First came up to the Padres in 2011. Last year, he came back up, and his first major league home run was a walk-off winner against San Francisco. Forsythe's well put together, 6'1", little over 200. Out of the University of Arkansas. He's had a lot of problems with his feet. He's had plantar fasciitis in the right foot. He swings, line drive right at Ramirez. Not really hit that hard, but line drive would just describe the trajectory. 2 out, Ronnie Cedeno singled in the 2nd inning. Cedeno's much traveled. He's from Carabobo in Venezuela, originally signed by the Cubs. He's played for the Cubs, of course, and then the Pirates and the Mets and the Astros and now the Padres. 30 years old. And first ball swinging, drive into right center. There's nobody there. That thing is going to clear the wall and go down the stairs. And just like that, Cedeno hits it out. Cedeno had a home run for the Astros this year, so it's his first home run for the Padres. Last year he had 4 with the New York Mets. So Cedeno, a 2-out home run, and San Diego takes a 1-0 lead.
44, Rene Rivera.
1 run on 5 hits, and Cedeno clears the wall. And the catcher, Rene Rivera, coming up. For Capuano, dismayed by the home run. Chris has now given up 11, the same number as Cashner. And that's ball 1 to Rivera. Rene Rivera is from Puerto Rico. Way out in front of a great changeup. 1-1. Rivera is 5'10". They say 230 pounds. On 5'10", I would think he'd look even bigger than he is. He was a second-round pick by the Mariners at a Papa Juan High School in Puerto Rico. High fly ball into deep right. Puig going back to the track at the wall. Crashes into the wall. The ball is in play, and Rivera's at second base with a double. So Rene Rivera, a long double off the boards in right field. It was tough for Puig. You wonder if he might get hung up on that wire screen that covers the scoreboard. He ran up looking at the wall and then retrieved and got it back in. Tried to make the over shoulder catch, just as long as your spikes don't catch in that screen. Almost caught. If the spikes catch, you're in trouble. So a home run, and remember, Forsythe lined out, then the home run, and now the long double. And here's Cashner, a good hitting pitcher who grounded to short his only at bat. Ball 1. If you're wondering about the top hitting pitchers, Zach Greinke leads the parade, hitting .340. Travis Wood, .255. And Cashner right now hitting .244. In fact, we have a discrepancy on Cashner's batting average. There's going to be a little discussion on the mound, so timeout. Rick Honeycutt, Skip Schumacher, the catcher Fedorovich, listening to Rick Honeycutt. Cashner came into the game hitting .268 according to our stat sheet. Then he grounded out in the 4th inning. So on the scoreboard they have him hitting .262. Either way, he's right up there in the top 3. He's either second or third, depending upon the accuracy of the batting average. No big deal. What does they say in Hawaii? Ain't no big deal, brother. 2-0 to Andrew. 1-0 San Diego, 4th inning. Remember, despite the fact the Padres are 19 games behind the Dodgers in the Western Division, the best the Dodgers have been able to do against Bud Black, split 14, and Bud's club has won 4 of the 7 played here. So they play the Dodgers tough. 2-1. And that's low. Though Capuano behind 3-1. The Padres' problem, they do pretty well at Petco. They're actually 4 games above 500 at home. They get on the road and they get killed. They're 18 games under 500 on the road. And that's going to go into right field for a base hit. Puig plays the hop. They are going to run Rivera, who is out at the plate. And Puig does it again. He just airmails it. A hopper just to Fedorovich, who plants and makes the tag. Oh, to be 22 and a Dodger. Wow. 1-0 San Diego. California Hyundai dealers. Waiting for the year's best car deals? Stop waiting. Go to Hyundai Labor Day Sales Drive by September 3rd. By AT&T Uverse TV. Check availability at 1-800-PICK-ATT. And by Jack in the Box. Go big at a participating Jack in the Box with Jack's really big chicken sandwich combos for only $3.99 plus tax. Bottom of the fourth inning with San Diego leading 1-0, but the crowd still buzzing over that great throw by Yasiel Puig. He takes the base hit by Cashner, air mails it a one-hopper to Fedorovich. There's plenty of time to tag Rene Rivera. Rivera tried to do what a lot do. Don't crash into the catcher. Stay out in foul ground and just try to avoid him by touching home plate. But the ball got to Fedorovich so soon he was able to plant and put the tag. So a great play by Yasiel. It's 1-0 San Diego, and now here's Andre Ethier. Ball one. By the way, a note, interesting kind of a note on Andrew Cashner. We were talking about the discrepancy of his batting average, and with him, because he is a good hitting pitcher, he has a batting average as a pitcher. That's going to be an out. He has a batting average as a pitcher and as a pinch hitter. So that's a difference. Hitting 244 before the base hit as a pitcher. One other thing, as a pinch hitter, he actually won a game against the Giants in San Francisco, squeezing in the winning run with a bunt single for a base hit. So there is a lot to Andrew Cashner, and he is one out here and facing Juan Uribe. Strike. Uribe single, shattering his bat. 1-for-1. That was 95-mile-an-hour fastball. 0-2. Chris Capuano has allowed 7 hits, but only 1 run. 1-2 to count to Juan Uribe. Waiting on deck, Skip Schumacher. Off the plate, 2-2. One run, 7 hits for San Diego. No runs, 3 hits for the Dodgers. Before a sellout crowd. Little roller to short. Cedeno picks off balance throw with a lot on it. Good play. Padres miss Everett Cabrera, but they went out to get Cedeno, and he's done a good job.
Number 55, Skip Schumacher.
So 2 out in the 4th inning, and Skip Schumacher coming up. Final game of the series tomorrow. That'll be Tyler Ross and Zach Greinke. And remember, tomorrow, not only the ball game, but then after the game, the movie, The Sandlot. Dodgers will leave after the game, head for Colorado. 3 with the Rockies, and then on the weekend with Cincinnati. And after the Cincinnati game, that'll be on the 8th of September, all of the other games are within the Western Division. Arizona, San Francisco, San Diego. The next homestand is really the last homestand. 3 with Arizona and 4 with the Giants. We say that because the other games are the final 3 games of the year at home with Colorado. So a 2-out single by Schumacher will bring up Tim Fedorovich. Dodgers still trying to find a way to get a run. Fedorovich struck out in the 2nd inning. Diamondbacks were leading the Giants 3-0. Now it's 3-2. The Giants have scored 2 in the 7th. They've knocked Trevor Cahill out of there, and they're still at the bat. Diamondbacks 3, Giants 2, top of the 7th. Arizona 10.5 games back. 0-1. So if it's a shock to think that Arizona is 10.5 back, what kind of a shock is it to realize the Giants are 19 games back? They're as bad off as the Padres. 0-1. No balls and 2 strikes. Great changeup. The ball just dies. Fedorovich thinking fastball because Cashner throws it with the exact same arm speed, same motion, and instead of it being 98, it comes up there at 82. 0-2 to Fedorovich. Fastball hit off the glove of Cashner, deflected to Cedeno, who feeds Jerko, and they get the out. If Cashner doesn't slow that baby down, it's a base hit. So no runs, 1 hit, a man left, and at the end of 4, 1-0 San Diego. Sports Live, the sports and highlight show you've been waiting for, is here. Everything you need to know about the world of sports, airing nightly on Fox Sports 1. And Fox Sports 1 is available on all TV providers. So go to foxsports1.com, find out what channel it's on in your area. 1-0 favor of San Diego. Andrew Kashner, had he not gotten the glove on that ball hit back towards the box, slowed it down, and it would have been then a force play. It would have been the third hit against Kashner with the count of no balls and 2 strikes. Gonzalez did it in the 3rd inning. Ethier did it. And then that ball that was hit by Fedorovich, but Kashner slowed it down. So into the 5th, it'll be DeNorfia, Venable, and Jerko in that order. Giants tied it up in Arizona. It's 3-3 in the 7th inning. Buster Posey singled home Marco Scutaro to tie the game. Scutaro had tripled in a run after Gregor Blanco had homered. So the Giants are still hitting. Well, here's DeNorfia. DeNorfia has certainly a claim to fame. He's a rare guy who can say that he's had 2 home runs against Clayton Kershaw. He's always done very well against left-hand pitching. Earlier this year, as Kershaw looks on, DeNorfia had a .331 batting average since 2011 against left-handers. That's a strike, 1-1. At one time, he was wearing out the Dodgers, and before that, he wasn't doing anything. His average went from 144 against the Dodgers to 393 against the Dodgers. Dropped down to 357. And so far in this series, he had 2 base hits, went 2 for 5, 0 for 2, so he is 2 for 7. Chris DeNorfia out of Bristol, Connecticut. Fly ball. Ethier should get under it. Oh, one away. As soon as that ball went up, Ethier had his hand in the air to make sure Puig knew. 1 down. It's a beautiful sky, but not necessarily for a ball player. The feathery clouds have certainly changed color. Like some artist had taken his brush, dipped it in the palette, and then kind of skimmed it along a blue background. You don't see it that well from that angle, but from down looking up, yeah, there it is. So pretty. 1-0 San Diego. 1 out in the 5th. Will Venable and a strike. Venable, I'm sure, hates the thought that we're running out of August. It has been a tremendous month for him. 2-1. The Padre record for hits in a month, as you look at Venable, and he has 40 facing Capuano. The Padre record is 47, and done by the same player twice. Check swing, foul. You're right, Tony Gwynn, 1987 and 1993. In fact, only 4 Padres have had at least 39 hits and 8 home runs in 1 month. Dave Winfield, Ken Caminiti, Phil Nevin, and Will Venable. 2-2. Crack bat, ground ball, Schumacher for the second out. So Will Venable taps out. 2 down in the 5th. Jed Jerko has doubled and singled against Capuano. The young second baseman. It's 1 run, 7 hits for San Diego. No runs, 4 hits for the Dodgers. The only run, home run by Ronnie Cedeno. 0-1. Fedorovich now out to talk, try to figure out how to get Jerko, who doubled hard in the first inning, singled just as hard into left field. So the young man from West Virginia has had a very impressive year, hitting .251. But he has that look about him as if he's been around a long time. Oh and 1. 0 and 2. No balls and 2 strikes. 2 down, 5th inning. 1-0 Padres. Bounce that pitch, 1 and 2. Earlier this year, when there was a pattern watching Jerko, we haven't seen the Padres in a while, but the critical pitch for him earlier in the year was 2 and 1. On a 2 and 1 count, he was hitting .500. But then if he fouled off that 2-1 pitch and was hitting 2 and 2, he was hitting less than 100. Fouled away, still 1 and 2. Amazing, isn't it? 2 and 1 count, hitting .500. 2 and 2 count, .069. Got him on a great changeup. That was 77 miles an hour. A 1-2-3 inning for Capuano. His first of the night. And at the end of 4.5, 1-0 San Diego. Season and become a 2014 season ticket holder. Place a deposit at Dodgers.com/season tickets and you're in business. Dodgers are not in business. They've been shut down completely by Andrew Cashner, with the Padres on a home run by Ronnie Cedeno leading 1-0. So in this pitching duel, the pitchers will face each other. Capuano, then Crawford and Puig. Capuano struck out in the second inning. Fastball away. That's all he got. And he got some fastballs at 97 and 98. Chris with 1 hit this year. Foul back. Capuano, Crawford, and Puig. If anybody gets on Gonzalez. Dodgers held to 4 hits. Ethier, Uribe, Schumacher, and Gonzalez all have singles. That's a foul ball. 1-2 the count. 2-2. Two balls, 2 strikes, and a chopper to short. Cedeno is there. And that'll do it for Capuano. One down. Cashner, we mentioned at the start of the game, he is a ground ball pitcher, and he has allowed 2 fly balls to the outfield thus far. Crawford struck out, grounded out. Off speed, and it dropped in nicely. That was down to 76 miles an hour. So it's amazing. He can throw 99 for a strike, and he can throw in the middle 70s for a strike. And a drive to the gap in left center, and there's nobody there. It's going to bounce up into the seats for a ground rule double. So Crawford doubles into the gap. Dodgers now have the tying run at second base. Dodgers have not come up with a key hit thus far. They left 2 men in the second inning, left a man in the first, left a man in the fourth. So the 1-out double will bring up the man of the hour, Yasiel Puig. But first we'll take another look. The ball hits, Kangaroos up. Nice catch up there. Crawford, as he stands at second base, has 24 doubles. 2 triples, 5 home runs. Now Puig trying to pick him up. Puig walked and struck out. He got some hard stuff from Cashner. Let's see now the third at bat. Ground ball to third. Forsythe holding the runner, takes care of Puig. 2 down. We were talking earlier about Cashner and how things change as he moves along with his pitch count. He is very, very tough with men on base. Earlier in the game, the Dodgers had back-to-back singles by Ethier and Uribe. With 2 men on base, the opposition is hitting 159 against Cashner. And he gets tougher as he pitches longer into the game. He is now at 66 pitches. From 76 until the last pitch, he holds the opposition to a 195 batting average. So he just gets tougher. Check swing for a strike, 0-1. Adrian Gonzalez, Mr. Consistency, old reliable. And they give you some cold facts. 5 of the last 6 years, he's averaged 25 home runs, 100 RBIs or more, and he's on pace with 19 home runs, 85 RBIs. 1-1. That was a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. Adrian walked in the first inning, single to right in the third. Crawford, the tying run at second. Gonzalez trying to pick him up. Foul ball. Interesting, the Dodgers have 5 hits. 4 of them come with Cashner ahead in the count. 0-2, 0-2, 0-1, 0-1. So let's see what happens with Adrian in the count 1-2. It's 1-0 San Diego. We're in the bottom of the 5th. Now that fastball was clocked at 100 miles an hour. Gonzalez got a little of it going by. That's the first 100-mile-an-hour fastball. He's had a couple at 99. Take a look. That's the Express, and it was rising. The so-called high hard one. Full definition, Cashner's fastball. and comes down with the same fastball at 98, and he strikes out Adrian. So no runs. The Dodgers waste a double. At the end of 5, 1-0 San Diego. Possible by CarMax. Start the search for your next car at CarMax. AT&T, rethink possible. By CarMax. Start the search for your next car at CarMax. By Snow Summit Adventure Park. Ride, bike, hike. Check out all the new Adventure Park at snowsummit.com. And by Captain Morgan. Raise your glass, always in moderation. We go to the 6th inning. Chris Capuano battling Andrew Cashner. So far, Cashner leading 1-0 on a home run from a somewhat unexpected precinct, Ronnie Cedeno, the shortstop. So 1-0 San Diego, and the batter will be Jesus Guzman, then Kyle Blanks, and Logan Forsythe. We made the point earlier, but it's so true. The Padres play the Dodgers so tough, you would never know they're 19 games behind them in the standings. They had won 4 out of 6 here until losing last night, so they still hold the edge, having won 4 of 7 here at Dodger Stadium. And the last place Padres at 19 back have split 14 head-to-head against the Dodgers. So Bud Black, the veteran manager, fine big league pitcher in his day, certainly has his ball club playing well as far as the Dodgers are concerned. Bud, a successful big league pitcher, won as many as 13, won 47 games in 4 years for the Indians and Giants. High fly ball down the line. Puig has to come a long way. Foul ground, and he catches up to it. Boy, that was a fine play because he was way over toward right center. And makes a fine running catch in foul ground against a right-hand batter. He had to take a look to see where the stands were, and he paced himself very well. Wonderful play by Yasiel. Capuano's worried at first, I think, about Puig hitting the wall. 1 down. If you joined us late, Yasiel has walked, struck out, grounded out, and made a great throw to nail Rene Rivera, trying to score from second on a base hit. One ball and 1 strike to Kyle Blanks. Single to right, struck out. A change, fouled away. A lot of spin on that, and it'll go back into the stands. You throw a good changeup like that, batters hit it off the end of the bat. It reacts almost like a billiard ball. A lot of spin on it, and it carried foul, so blank still there, 1-2. Two and two. When the Dodgers come up in the bottom of the sixth, they'll have Hanley Ramirez, Andre Ethier, and Juan Uribe. Last we heard, the Giants in Arizona were tied up 3-3. Pitch in the dirt. The out has to be recorded at first. And we have two down. That'll be the sixth strikeout for Chris Capuano. Now the batter, Logan Forsythe, who struck out and lined out to short. Giants in Arizona, they're still 3-3, and they moved to the top of the eighth inning. Forsythe has 5 home runs this year. One of them he hit, they're still talking about. He hit it to dead center field. They said it went out 445, the second longest home run at Petco this year. I know one thing, they couldn't have had a harder hit home run than the home run Hanley Ramirez hit that looked like it was going to punch a hole in the concrete building back of left field at Petco Park. A line drive, probably the hardest hit ball we've seen this year. Ground ball to Uribe on the money. So the Padres go down 1-2-3, and at the end at 5.5, it's still 1-0 San Diego. As your #1 mobile app for live baseball. Available for iPhone, iPad, Android, and BlackBerry 10. At Bat delivers Dodger baseball with live audio, pitch tracking, stats, highlights, and more. Text At Bat to 31826 or visit Dodgers.com for details. Andrew Cashner, who has turned in quite a strong 5 innings, limiting the Dodgers to no runs and 5 hits. Hanley Ramirez, Andre Ethier, and Juan Uribe will go up against him. And a strike. Cashner's earned run average against the Dodgers, he's 0-1, but his earned run average against them is 1.8. Ground ball hugging the ground. Forsythe takes care of it, so he shuts down Ramirez. 1 out in the 6th. Andre Ethier coming up.
Center fielder, number 16, Andre.
We can take a quick look at what's going on in the Western Division. Only 2 games. Cincinnati leading Colorado 8-3. And as we told you, the Giants in Arizona tied up 3-3. Hunter Penn's having a good night, 3 for 4. Andre Ethier single to center and fly to right. Hitting a very solid .275, 10 home runs, 47 runs batted in. Change down and away, ball 1. That change up 77. Now you wonder, after that 77, he takes a look at a pitch that's clocked at 93. 2-0. Tomorrow, the final game of the homestand and of the series, Ross against Greinke. And that's ball 3. One out, Uribe on deck. Ethier is 1 for 2. Uribe is 1 for 2. The only time the Dodgers have had back-to-back hits, and that didn't slow down Cashner at all. 3-0 in there. If you weren't with us, the Dodgers had back-to-back singles in the 2nd inning. But Schumacher flied to left, Fedorovich struck out, Capuano struck out, and that's that. And that's another strike, 3-2. Cashner has 5 strikeouts, Capuano has 6. Three and 2. Line drive down the left field line, base hit going to the corner. So on his way to second base is Ethier with a stand-up double. It is the Dodgers' second double. Crawford doubled in the 5th inning. So Ethier is 2 for 3 against Andrew Cashner, taking a fastball away and going with it, and doubles down the right field line. Dodgers now have 6 hits but no runs, and the batter will be Juan Uribe. Blanks played it well in that corner in left field. Uribe singled. It looks better in the box score. He broke his bat, and it was a little dribbler to shortstop that he outlegged. Last time up, he grounded to short. And he bangs it into right field, base hit. Over to get it is Denorfia, and they're going to hold Ethier. Nice play by Chris Denorfia. A, to cut the ball off, and B, to get that ball back to the infield. That's a big play by the right fielder. Uribe looks puzzled, as if say, how come I didn't get an RBI? How come the run didn't score? Well, this is why. Denorfia got it to the cutoff man. And the Dodgers, of course, and we're not throwing an arrow at him, but the Dodgers, no doubt in the dugout, saying to Puig, that's what you do to keep that man at third and to keep the runner at first. A fine play by Denorfia to Jerko. All right, 1st and 3rd, 1 out. And the batter, Skip Schumacher, trying to at least get the Dodgers even. Schumacher came up with 2 on and nobody out in the 2nd inning and flied to left. Ball 1. Cashner has made 81 pitches. So he's still in a strong number. One ball, no strike. That's a strike. Brian Wilson gets up in the Dodger bullpen. They're thinking about batting for Capuano. By the way, we'll refresh your memory. Cashner, when he's in a zone from 76 pitches to 90, the opposition is hitting 192 against him. And he is right there now, 83 pitches. So Schumacher is up there and he catches Cashner at his mathematical best. In the inning, Ramirez grounded out. Ethier doubled into the left field corner. Uribe singles to right. Chris Denorfia makes a wonderful defensive play. So the Padres still lead 1-0. Denorfia, the veteran, we've seen him play all three outfield positions, and he has the arm to play right field. Another foul ball into the stands behind the Dodger dugout. Still 1-2 to Skip Schumacher. Came in hitting .272, 28 runs batted in. 1-0 Padres. Dodgers struggling, trying to get even. And a soft line drive grabbed by Cedeno, and the runners hold. So a little looper to the shortstop. Dodgers spinning their wheels against Cashner.
Catcher, number 18.
And with 2 out, Tim Fedorovich. So the ball not hit hard, just a little flare. And Cedeno right there. So that play by Denorfia gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So here's Fedorovich. Tim struck out, hit one off the glove of Cashner, was deflected, and they got the force play at second on Schumacher. Oh, and 1. Gary Hairston comes out on deck, hoping to get an at bat for Capuano, which is why Brian Wilson is throwing in the bullpen. 1 run, 7 hits for San Diego. No run, 7 hits for the Dodgers. Padres playing the Dodgers head to head, dead even. That's a strike. So Fedorovich now, no balls, 2 strikes. San Diego 1, Dodgers nothing. Bottom of the 6th. Runners at first and third. Down and dirty, 1 and 2. Last year, the Dodgers wound up winning 11 of the 18. At Dodger Stadium, however, they won 5 and lost 4. And down goes Fedorovich. So the Dodgers waste an opportunity, but it was not so much a wasted opportunity as the heads-up play by Chris Denorfia. And it's still 1-0 San Diego. Coliseum. Couple of things to keep in mind. Sandy Koufax was pitching. The Dodgers were playing the Giants, and there was almost 83,000 in the ballpark. Sandy had struck out 13 the game before, but this night he struck out 18 Giants. That broke Dizzy Dean's record, tied a strikeout record held by Bob Feller. And one other thing, in 1959, whether it was 60 or this year 61, Wally Moon played a big hand in it. Wally hit a home run over the left field screen with 2 men aboard in the bottom of the 9th, and the Dodgers beat the Giants 5-2. 83,000 seeing Sandy strike out 18. Wow. Let's go back to this one. Sandy Koufax, 3 times in his career, struck out over 300 hitters in a year. 3 times. Meanwhile, Capuano will be facing Ronnie Cedeno, who was the difference in the game. Cedeno singled and then had the 2-out home run in the 4th inning. The home run for Cedeno, only the 39th for his entire career, and only the 2nd that he has hit the other way towards right field. Last year he had 1 to left field against Capuano. It was in New York. He homered for the Mets against Chris. Foul ball. One thing that Cedeno can say, despite having only 39 home runs, he's hit several against some pretty tough pitchers. How about Roger Clemens, Cliff Lee, Trevor Hoffman, Chris Carpenter, Ronnie Cedeno out of Carabobo, Venezuela. Little foul, still 1-2. Cedeno, 30 years old, uneven 6, 190. Originally started his career with the Cubs. Didn't get it that time. Down he goes. 7 strikeouts for Chris Capuano. Dodgers have not given him any offense at all. Dodgers had 2 on and nobody out in the 2nd. The big rally, they had a double and a single in the 6th, but thanks to Denorfia, failed to score. Capuano now facing Rene Rivera. For the Dodger fans, the big play of the night. Rivera had doubled. Cashner single to right. Puig charging the ball, fired a 1-hopper to Fedorovich, and they nailed Rivera at the plate. One and one. One and 2 to Rene. Rene, about 6 years ago, signed with the Dodger organization. He never played for the Dodgers. Stayed in the minor leagues a long time before coming up to the Twins. Comebacker. So 2 out here in the 7th inning. And the batter will be Andrew Cashner, a good hitter. He grounded to short in the 2nd inning, single to right in the 4th, and that's when Puig made that great throw to get Rivera at the plate. When the Dodgers come up in the bottom of this 7th inning, Capuano is due to lead off, and it might be this will be his last inning. Then it's Crawford and Puig. Cashner has made 88 pitches through his 6 innings and promptly bangs it into right center. I'll say he can hit. Over to cut it off is Ethier, and Cashner going for 2. He is in there. So Andrew Kashner, who was hitting .268 coming into the game, is now 2 for 3. He has a single and now a double. And a line drive into the gap in right center field. Ethier did a good job to cut it down. By the time he gets it, Kashner can also run pretty well. And he's into second base ahead of the throw. So now Chris DeNorfia coming up, but they're going to walk him intentionally because of the great success he has against left-hand pitching. And they'll take their luck against Will Venable. Capuano and Will Venable, just to look back to the past. Venable 0 for 2 against him. Venable tonight is 0 for 3. So Venable is 0 for 5. And he'll be coming up as soon as DeNorfia gets ball 4. All right. First and second, 2 out. And Will Venable coming up. Mattingly and Honeycutt talking things over. Venable with 40 hits in the month of August and a 9-game hitting streak on the line. He's 0 for 3. A solid .277 with 20 home runs. 49 runs batted in. So Kashner at second, DeNorfia at first. Ball 1. On deck, Jerko, who has a double and a single. So one way or another, you get the feeling for Capuano, this will be his last hitter. One and one. So far, he's kept Venable quiet with low breaking balls, just like that last one. Struck him out with one in the first inning. One ball, one strike. And a drive to right. Puig, however, at the other end of it. So no runs, 1 hit, 2 left. Capuano walks off, and I would guess he is finished. And it's 1-0 San Diego. And it's still that way, 1-0, bottom of the 7th. Remember the Twitter poll? The question was, September call-up starting tomorrow. It'll help the most in which way? And if you were a GM, you'd want the pinch hitter, 55%. Then the pitching depth, then the extra bat, and finally defensive help. So many an important game has been decided by a runner or a pinch runner. Meanwhile, the Dodgers will lift Capuano, who turned in another one of those gems. As we talked about, he's either pitching a shutout or allowing 5 runs. And tonight was his night not to pitch his shutout, but only 1 run, the home run by Cedeno. Meanwhile, Andrew Cashner has been brilliant, and he has stifled the Dodgers as we go to the bottom of the 7th inning. Cashner also running the bases tonight with a single and a double. Has a little meeting with third baseman Logan Forsythe. Jerry Hairston coming off the bench, hitting .230. Hairston, as a pinch hitter, has 6 hits and 4 runs batted in. Capuano, by the way, wound up making 104 pitches. So he turned in a great effort, but he's down 1-0. Boy, that's something. You sit in the bench until the 7th inning, then you go up to the plate, and the guy's throwing 96 and 97, and before you're even settled in, the count's no balls and 2 strikes. And that's popped in the air, foul, should go out of play, and does. Jerry Hairston is 1 for 4 in the past against Cashner. Meanwhile, Giants in Arizona, they're in the bottom of the 9th inning in a 3-3 tie. Where in the 7th, Padres lead 1-0. 1-2. Cashner has now made 93 pitches. We were telling you how tough he is according to the number of pitches. Foul back. So now he's in that 91 to 105 pitch count. The opposition is hitting 200. So the Dodgers really have their work cut out for them against Andrew Cashner. 7th inning, 1-0 Padres. One and 2. Fastball hit up the middle behind the bag. Jerko can't make the play. Tried to throw the ball, slipped out of his hand. It'll go as a base hit. Official scorer always keeps one thought in mind, and that is if it takes a good play to retire the batter, and if the defensive man can't make the good play, then they'll give the hitter a base hit. So the Dodgers now get a leadoff man on. It's only the 2nd time tonight they've gotten a leadoff man on. The other time, Ethier singled, open up the 2nd inning. So now here is Crawford, who has struck out, grounded out, doubled, and ball 1. So Hairston, the tying run, nobody out. On deck, Yasiel Puig. Keep an eye on Hairston. Jerry does not do a lot of base running. In fact, Jerry doesn't do any base running. No stolen bases, no attempts. 1 ball and no strikes. Down in the bullpen, Nick Vincent, a right-hander, begins to loosen up. Cashner has now made 96 pitches. 1 ball, no strikes. And ball 2. Looking at Cashner's pitching, Last start, 108 pitches. That would be the most pitches he's made in a game. 108. And that's a strike. 2-1. 1-0 Padres. Hairston at first, a tying run. Nobody out. 7th inning. 2-1 the count to Crawford. That 108 pitch game, that's his career high, and it happened in his last appearance. So he's getting close to it. 10 more pitches. Two and 1. And that's going to go into left field. Base hit. Hairston to second. So the Dodgers again now in position to score, but they've been turned away empty-handed all night. First and second, nobody out, and Yasiel Puig coming up. Puig tonight walked in the first inning, and having stolen 2 bases last night, tried to steal and was nailed in the first inning. In the third inning, he struck out. The last time up, he was first ball hitting, grounded to third. He's going up to the plate after Adrian Gonzalez counseled him. And now let's see about Bud Black, what he's going to do with Andrew Cashner. Cashner's made 99 pitches. Black would appear to be counseling the infield more than worrying about Cashner. Talking mostly to Ronnie Cedeno. Now Cashner gets into it a little bit. All right. Bud Black delivering the message. Bud was born up in San Mateo, lives in Longview, Washington. 2 on, nobody out. Glenn Hoffman down there in the dugout looking at Bud. Puig 0-4-2 coming up. Now with a lot of hitters, you'd be thinking sacrifice. So Guzman and Forsythe are up. Would they have Puig try to bunt? Puig does not have a sacrifice. He does have a bunt single. So let's see. First ball swinging, and he almost fell down. 0-1. Would love to be a fly on the wall and know what Adrian Gonzalez had said to him before Puig went up to the plate. 0-1. 1 ball and 1 strike. That fastball at 97. So Cashner, after 101 pitches, still has plenty of gas in the tank. Meanwhile, Eric Chavez just won the game for Arizona with a base hit in the bottom of the 9th. D-backs 4, Giants 3. Here, San Diego leads 1-0, bottom of the 7th. Little foul ball, 1-2. Guzman, up until now, was looking for the bunt. The first baseman now is convinced no bunt with 2 strikes and goes back deep at first. Forsythe also played the bunt, but it never came. And now they're all back in the regular spot. Venable shading just a tad towards right center with a gap in left center field. Fastball, check swing, no swing, says Hunter Wendelstedt. 2-2 to Yasiel. Adrian Gonzalez patiently waiting on deck. The old hand that has been through so much. Hanley Ramirez, another veteran waiting. And the kid is at the plate. 2-2. Down he goes. High fastball at 100 miles an hour. That's one of those things, the old joke in baseball. You turn to the umpire and say that sounded high. Off the plate and hurrying up at 100 miles an hour. So 1 out. Dodgers still at first and second. Gonzalez has walked, single to right, and struck out. Little foul out of play. Gonzalez coming into the game was 2 for 7 against Cashner. So he is 3 for 9 against the right-hander. No home runs. So Hairston opened up with an infield single. Crawford singled into second. Puig strikes out. 0-1 to Gonzalez. Fastball away. And at 99. Boy, that's something. 106 pitches. And he threw 100 to strike out Puig. And hitting 99 against Adrian Gonzalez. 1-1. Fastball really took off. Rivera did well to react on that thing. That was 98. Nice play defensively by Rene Rivera. 2 balls and 1 strike to count. Bud Black relying on his big right-hander to pitch out of the jam. 2-1. And a line drive base hit. Charging Venable. Here comes Hairston. He will score. And the Crow has done it again. The reliable Adrian Gonzalez. So Adrian Gonzalez got a fastball around the knees, outside part of the plate. And on the Dodgers' 10th hit tonight, they get that base hit and score a run. Hairston, who runs well. Venable really didn't have a play. And Jerry's in to tie up the game. So now Hanley Ramirez coming up after Adrian comes up with a big hit to tie up the game. Hanley hitting .373 with runners in scoring position, and he has Crawford out there. Hanley with 5 home runs, 33 RBIs. We'll look up as Capuano now can't lose, might even win if the Dodgers can get out in front for him. Ramirez was 0 for 4 against Cashner. He's 0 for 3 tonight. So Hanley is 0 for 7 against Andrew Cashner. That first pitch he fouled back was 85. So Crawford at second. Gonzalez at first in a 1-1 tie. 1 out. Hanley trying too hard on a bad ball. Change at 82. So he can still throw hard after 110 pitches. But he's also pitching with his head. So after establishing the fact that he can still throw hard, 98, 97, he comes back with a great changeup. Andre Ethier on deck. 0-2. Broken bat, foul ball, and that disintegrated into several pieces. A sliver. Wow. So Hanley gets a new bat after shattering that one into 3 pieces. Thanks to tremendous camera work, you could actually see the bat come apart. No balls, 2 strikes. Fouled away. Boy, that thing hurried up. That was down and in at 97 miles an hour. So he has now pitched a career high 112 pitches. He's still not out of the woods. Only 1 out. Cashner is 6'6". Weighs about 205. 0-2. And pulled hard at third. Nice play by Forsythe on the bag and throws it away. So what might have been a double play leaves the Dodgers with a go-ahead runner at third in Adrian Gonzalez. So a hard ground ball. Forsythe did very well to backhanding the ball and then throws it away. The umpires, I think, are going to have a discussion. Don Mattingly is out there talking to Jerry Lane as to whether they should allow Gonzalez to score. So they're having the huddle. So Ramirez hits into a force play. Forsythe going to the bag and then throwing the ball away, allowing Gonzalez to go to third. And they look over at third, and they are going to keep Gonzalez at third. Depending upon where Adrian Gonzalez was in the judgment of the umpires, the Dodgers have runners at second and third. They let Hanley Ramirez, of course, go to second on the error by Forsythe. So second and third, 2 out. Take a look. Ground ball.
Number 16, Andre.
That's the force play. Adrian hasn't even to second base. So on the wide throw, Adrian goes to third. So runners at second and third. Gonzalez down the line trying to break the tie. Ramirez at second. They'll take the bat out of Ethier's hands and walk him intentionally. So Cashner now will run him up to 118 pitches. And Juan Uribe will be the batter. Forsythe drawing the error, of course. Just looking, Uribe against Cashner was 2 for 4 coming into the game, and he's 2 for 3 tonight. So that means Uribe is 4 for 7 against Cashner, and we'll see if they allow Cashner to pitch to him. 117 pitches by Andrew Cashner. Bud Black is staying with the hard-throwing right-hander. Cashner has gone over a career high of 108, now to 117. Uribe, as you know, likes to be a first ball hitter, but we'll see what he does now. Cashner better than 2-1, strikes to balls. Cashner walked 2 in the first inning and walked Ethier now to give him 3. So here's the big moment, and ball 1. So Gonzalez, Ramirez, and Ethier all out on the lines. A 1-1 tie, bottom of the 7th, and a sellout crowd having fun. Skip Schumacher on deck. Big ground ball, this time to the bag and no further throw. So they get the force play. The Dodgers struggle, wind up getting one to get even, but they leave the bases loaded. And at the end, it's 7, a 1-1 tie. In the 4th inning, after Rivera had doubled with 2 out and the Padres were leading 1-0, Andrew Kashner a single to right, Rivera on his way to score, except a perfect throw to Fedorovich, the tag on the sliding Rivera, and that's all they scored, 1. The Dodgers, meanwhile, spinning their wheels, were also stopped for a moment on a fine play by Chris DeNorfia in right field. Only with DeNorfia, he hit a cutoff man, and that prevented the Dodgers from scoring for a while. Though it's 1-1 in the 8th, and Brian Wilson coming into the game. Wilson, who lives in Londonderry, New Hampshire, originally a 24th round pick by the Giants, 2003, went to school at LSU, and is, let's say, a little unusual. Little roller. Ramirez picks with the glove and drops it. The Jerko is aboard as Hanley trying to charge a little roller and can't make the play. Looked like he was playing it safe by using the glove, but he dropped it. So here he comes. A lot of times you see the bare hand, but not this time, and he will draw an error. So in a 1-1 tie, the Padres now have a man at first, nobody out. Ramirez committing his 13th error. And the batter, Jesus Guzman, popped up, force play, fouled out to right. One ball and no strikes. Guzman started the night hitting .242. Jerko over at first base, 1 for 2 in stolen bases. One and 0. Wilson off the rubber. Brian Wilson has a somewhat fearsome serpent tattoo on his left arm and a sizable scar on his right arm from Tommy John surgery. 1 ball, no strikes. He's going to be backed up in the Dodger bullpen now by Paco Rodriguez. One ball and no strike. There goes the runner, hit and run, but it's a pop fly. Backpedaling is Adrian Gonzalez to make the catch. First thing Adrian did on that pop fly was look back as if to say, where's Puig? And then he stayed with it. Tough play. There was no one else because with the runner going, Schumacher had broken to cover second base. So Adrian makes a fine play. There's Schumacher. He looks quickly. Where's Puig? And then he goes out and makes it over the head. Tough play. However, a runner on with one out. Now the batter is Kyle Blanks. Singled to right and struck out twice against Capuano. 0-1 to count. When they were teammates, Brian Wilson would live for a little while with Barry Zito in the Hollywood Hills. And from down below to Zito's house, 3.5 miles. And Wilson would run it. That's a strike, 0-2. One of the great stories about Brian Wilson, a couple of years ago, he was fined $1,000 for wearing bright day-glow orange cleats. We'll tell you more about it. 0-2. Off the plate. What happened was Marlins manager complained to the umpires before Wilson took the mound 3 years ago. Now, there's no official rule regarding cleats. Major League Baseball prefers a player's cleats be at least 50% of the team's dominant color, which in the Giants' case would be black and orange. 1-2. Anyway, Wilson, when they complained about the orange cleats, took a black Sharpie, altered them to conform to the rules. Wilson said, I'm going to continue to wear the cleats. I'll make a few modifications. And that's going to be banged into left field. Base hit. So the Padres, with one out, thanks to the error, have runners at first and second, and the batter, Logan Forsythe.
Third baseman, number 11, Logan Forsythe.
Forsythe struck out, lined out, ground out, and threw that ball away to help the Dodgers get even. Quick look at the schedule. We're just about running out of August tonight. So tomorrow, the 1st of September, the concluding game of the series with San Diego, Ross and Greinke. Club then flies for 3 in Colorado, 3 in Cincinnati with an off day, and then they come home and play 3 with Arizona and 4 with San Francisco. So here's Forsythe. Slider, 1 ball and no strikes. Cashner, who pitched a tremendous game, going head-to-head with Capuano. There's a one-hopper. Ramirez, a quick feed, turned by Schumacher, who almost threw it away. Big play by Adrian Gonzalez. So Wilson gets him out. Down go the Padres, and we're heading for the bottom of the 8th inning in a 1-1 tie. And Andrew Kashner, they're both out of the game now. The Padres got a run. Ronnie Cedeno hit a rare home run that came in the 4th inning, and that gave the Padre a 1-0 lead. Dodgers finally broke through. They had to do a lot to do it. 3 hits, an error, and a walk, and they finally got a run in the 7th inning against Andrew Kashner. So both starters pitched so well, it would be a shame either one lost, and instead it's now a battle of the bullpens. Nick Vincent, who was born in Poway and lives in Ramona, went to school at Long Beach State. For Nick, he came up briefly last year with San Diego, and his first pitch to Schumacher, a strike, 0-1. He's an even 6, 175. 0-1. 1 ball and 1 strike. One thing that Vincent did, and he's not a big man, he accepted a really physically demanding off-season job last year. Line drive, fair ball, down into the corner. Schumacher on his way into second base with a double. So Skip goes 2 for 4 as he doubles into the corner. Dodgers now have a tiebreaker out there with nobody out. Fedorovich, and then the pitcher spot. Mark Ellis comes out on deck. Now Fedorovich is 0 for 3, has struck out twice. We'll see if they ask him to bunt his man over to third. Well, Schumacher with a double. For Skip, that is his 14th double of the year. For Fedorovich, he has 1 sacrifice. Padres bring up the corners. Rivera is going out now to talk to Nick Vincent, who was saying before the 2012 season, the job that Vincent took, he would get up at 4 a.m., work on the Sunrise Powerlink project way out on Interstate 8. He'd finish work and then throw on the sidelines at Ramona High School. He was getting about 5 hours of sleep a night, but he felt it really got him into tremendous shape. That's ball 1, so Fedorovich showing bunt. Vincent, a fastball that gets around 89, so after looking at 98s and 100 with Kashner, a right-hander who does not throw hard, his best pitch is a cutter. It was last year in San Antonio where he decided to abandon the windup. Guzman charging the plate, and the pitch misses, ball 2. Fedorovich again checking. Mattingly going through the motions. Wallach will now relay. Schumacher at second, nobody out, 8th inning, a 1-1 tie. Showing bunt and gets it down. The only play is to first, and he almost threw it away, but they do get the tag. So Fedorovich gets the bunt down, advances his man, and the Dodgers have a tiebreaker 90 feet away, and Mark Ellis will be coming up to bat for Brian Wilson. Take the bunt. The catcher is pointing to third, but Vincent took a look over his left shoulder and threw to first and almost really messed it up.
Attention, please.
So Fedorovich gets his man over to third. The infield is up, and Mark Ellis checks in. Mark hitting .273, half a dozen home runs, 41 runs batted in. Fastball misses. Boy, you want to know a huge difference with the Padres home and road? Take the Padres at home. In one-run games, they are 18-6. take Bud Black's ball club on the road 1-run games. They are 4-12. Cashner sweating it out with Dave Roberts. And that's going to be a base hit to center, and the Dodgers lead 2-1. So Mark Ellis comes off the bench to get the Dodgers out in front. So the Dodgers using 2 pinch hitters tonight, Hairston and Ellis, and they both come through. So it is 2-1. The Dodgers 2 runs, 12 hits. The Padres 1 run, 10 hits. And the batter now will be Carl Crawford. To look ahead for the Padre threat in the 9th inning, they are due to send up Cedeno, Rivera, and the pitcher. There goes Mark Ellis on a bounce throw, and he's out. So Mark Ellis thrown out trying to steal. Ellis was 4 for 4 in stolen bases. The wonder about that play, was he going on what he thought was hit and run? But if it was hit and run, Crawford made no attempt to cover him with a swing. But he still gets the 5s. He knocked in the tiebreaker. And a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. 2 runs, 12 hits for the Dodgers. 1 run, 10 hits for San Diego. Crawford tonight double, single, struck out, grounded out, and the count 2-1. What a difference now. Dodgers seeing a right-hander throwing 87 and 88. No more 98s or 99. On the hands, pull foul. 2-2. Light breeze blowing from left to right. That is certainly welcome. That last pitch, the cutter that Vincent has. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Last year he suffered a freak injury. He stepped on a ball in the bullpen and severely sprained his ankle. Ground ball to the hole, under the glove of Cedeno for a base hit. That's the 3rd hit of the inning.
Outfield number 66, Yasiel Puig.
And for Crawford, his 3rd hit of the night. So 2 out, Crawford at first. Ellis, somewhat of a surprise, thrown out trying to steal. And here's Puig. Puig, coming off a 4-hit game last night, has walked, struck out twice, and grounded out, hitting .350. Now it's going to be a completely different situation facing Vincent rather than Cashner. And a strike. 0-1. Cashner and Dave Roberts shoulder to shoulder. Last night the Dodgers were all over Anthony Bass, and they sent him back today to the minors, although they can very well bring him back with the September call-up. 0-1. Little foul out of play. 0-2. Adrian Gonzalez on deck. It was Adrian, to no one's surprise, who had the clutch base hit to tie up the game. And the hit by Mark Ellis here in the 8th inning put the Dodgers out in front. 0-2. Carl Crawford has stolen 13 out of 17. 2 out, 0-2 the count to Puig. Fastball at 89, which is about as hard as he throws. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And down he goes. So Puig, after going, and this is life in the big leagues, 4 hits last night, strike out 3 times tonight. And the Dodgers will take the field in the 9th inning thanks to Mark Ellis, leading 2-1. And as we mentioned, neither man pitched poorly enough to lose. They both pitched well enough to win, and they both walk away without a decision. Each going 7 innings, and as you can look at it, the one who worked harder, Andrew Cashner, made 119 pitches. They each struck out 7, and for Capuano, it was another one of those games. As we mentioned at the very start, he's so good when he is so good. And then at other times he has his problems. He has a big string of zeros with a 5 and then some more zeros and another 5 runs. Cashner, meanwhile, despite the fact his earned run average against the Dodgers coming in was 1.8, he still allows only 1 run tonight and does not have a decision. So you're looking at 2 wonderful pitchers tonight, locked in, and they go out even. Meanwhile, we're now in the 9th inning. Skip Schumacher is in left field. Mark Ellis is at second base. And Kenley Jansen, the pitcher, is now in Crawford's leadoff spot. Here's the man who accounts for the San Diego run at the plate, Ronnie Cedeno. So Kenley Jansen, with those brilliant numbers, not just an ERA of 1.9. The idea, 65 innings, he's only allowed 41 hits. And then, of course, you look at strikeouts and walks. 12 walks, 95 strikeouts. Well, almost 8-1. Cedeno, meanwhile, single and homered. Brian Wilson could win this game as he sits in the on deck. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Capuano for 7, Wilson for 1. Jansen now against Ronnie Cedeno. Cedeno's never had an at-bat against Kenley Jansen. Fouled away. Still 1-2. Rene Rivera on deck is 0 for 1. And then we'll have to wait and see about a hitter for Vincent. Mark Kotze comes out on deck. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Kotze is 0 for 5 against Jansen. Still 1-2. Padre run came in the fourth with 2 outs. Cedeno homered. Dodgers struggled and finally break through for 1 in the 7th and 1 more in the 8th to lead 2-1. Got him. Boy, with Jerry Lane, you really have to wait. And then he breaks the news to Cedeno. 1 away. There's the pitch. Jerry straightens up very quietly, puts 2 fists in the air. Oh, 1 out. So now the strikeout to walkover ratio is 8-1. A reminder, Dodgers Live coming up after the game. Rene Rivera grounded out, doubled, hit back to the box, tried to score on a base hit by Andrew Kashner, and Yasiel Puig threw him out at the plate. That's been a huge play for the Dodgers to keep the Padres at 1. Chris Denorfia made a fine play to hold the Dodgers to none for a while, but they eventually broke through. 2-0. Kotsay, the veteran. Amarista on deck. And the strike, 2-1. We get a report. We don't know very much more about it. The Dodgers have made a personnel move. They have gotten Michael Young, the veteran hitter from Philadelphia, for a minor league player. 2-2. Just came over Michael Young and Cash to the Dodgers, coming from Philadelphia. Remember the ground ball that Jerko hit in the 8th inning? Went off the glove of Hanley Ramirez. They've changed the scoring on that, if you're keeping score. So that means Jerko gets a hit. It's a 3-hit night for him, and you remove the error from Ramirez. Michael Young, a local boy, he was born in Covina, went to Bishop Amat. He's 36 years old, has always been a fine hitter. That's off the plate. Michael Young's had a 14-year career, has over 2,300 hits. This year, hitting .272, and he's a career 300 hitter. So Michael Young will certainly be welcome to the Dodgers. 3-2. Well, that'll do it for Kotsay. So all Jansen does is come in and strike out the first 2 men he faces. And now here's Alexi Amarista hitting for Vincent. Two to 1 in favor of the Dodgers in the 9th inning. Alexi started last night late and had 2 singles after he batted for Eric Stokes and stayed in the game. Hitting .265. The corners are guarding the foul line. They don't want an extra base hit. Breaking ball strike. So Uribe is near the bag at third, and Gonzalez, the left-hand hitter, deep and guarding the line at first. 2 out in the 9th. 2-1 Dodgers. Fouled away. The Dodgers, should they hold on to it, will have an August record of 23-6. Hate to see the days of August go by. And against the West, they will have gone 16-4. 0-2. In the dirt to the backstop. 1-2 the count. Mark Ellis came off the bench, got a base hit to drive in Schumacher to give the Dodgers the 2-1 lead after Schumacher doubled. Another foul ball. Amarista hanging tough. He has 5 home runs, 28 runs batted in, about 5'7". He have really got to get that ball in a smaller strike zone. 1-2. Breaking ball, got him swinging. So all Jansen does is come in and strike out the side. So for Kenley Jansen, his magnificent numbers get even better. He now has 12 walks and 98 strikeouts. He made 18 pitches to close it up. And for the Dodgers, the newcomer, Brian Wilson, gets the victory, and Jansen gets the save. Vincent suffers the loss as Cashner and Capuano draw a level tie. Tomorrow, the concluding game of the series, it'll be Tyler Ross going against Zach Greinke. Dodgers remain 10.5 in front of Arizona. Arizona beat the Giants tonight 4-3. So the Dodgers wrap up a magnificent month of August. They didn't win at least 25. Those were the Brooklyn Dodger records, the 43 club, or make it the 47 club and the 53 club. But this club, the best for 1 month since the Dodgers came to Los Angeles, 23-6. Stay tuned for Dodgers Live coming up next. Good night, everybody.